why narcissists push everything away from them, okay? Including people eventually, right? Because the relationships that they get into, they eventually wreck because they wreck the individual, okay? Because they're reckless, basically. And they only focus on themselves, but not in the positive, okay? So manifestation requires alignment, okay? When you are in alignment, so we're talking about the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious states of awareness within. Okay, now if you don't believe in God, there's no superconscious. There's only the conscious and subconscious. Okay, but you see, and the other thing I want to add is that older people, okay, people that are, let's say, the boomer generation, okay, you see the boomer generation, right? They're filled with tension, right? A lot of them have PTSD, okay? And this is a generational thing, but most importantly, this is an old paradigm, okay? Because they come from the generation where children are to be seen and not heard, okay? They were openly abused or openly exposed to abusive situations or conditions, these things, okay? And I was just like on the edge of that. I was on the tail end of that, and I saw it change, okay? But when you are in a state of urgency, when you are in a state of tension, okay, when you are not relaxed, and this is what the somatic healing does when we do it with people, the voice work, okay, the vocalization process. So it's affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. The vocalization process relaxes everybody from inside, and it frees them up because it subdues and relaxes the subconscious, okay? And this is through energy, frequency, vibration, and velocity. So the things that Nikola Tesla was telling you about, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, vibration, okay? Your voice is energy, your voice is frequency, your voice is vibration, okay? So in the Holy Bible, God speaks the universe into existence, and you speak things into existence through your subconscious, okay? We add velocity to that, or strength, and then that fires the neurotransmitters which produce the oxytocin and endorphins, and that makes the difference, and that starts to heal a person and set them free, okay? It also breaks the sociological conditioning, or the societal conditioning, as it were, okay? But now we're talking today. Yesterday we were talking about narcissism, okay? So yesterday we were talking about how when you are a victim of narcissism, you actually start to take on those characteristics of a narcissist. Okay, you start to become narcissistic in the effort to prevent it. Okay, because it's the opposite of being open. Okay, you start to close like that. You start to go like this. Okay. Now, for manifestation purposes, today we're talking about manifestation and narcissism, and how you need to be like this for manifestation. Okay, but if you're a narcissist, you're like this to begin with. Why is that? Because you're insecure, you're self-centered, you're closed, okay? You're closed-minded, you cut things off, you're offensive, okay? So it's the opposite. Okay, good morning, guys. Good morning, Mr. Peabody. Good morning, Jay. So Jay's on a trip, and she is with us from the airport. So that's amazing. Thank you, Jay. So manifestation requires alignment, okay, and relaxation. You cannot be worried and manifest what you want, okay, because we're going to go back to doubt and fear. Now, you hear a lot of thought leaders say that, okay, well, doubt and fear, right? You can't doubt and you can't fear. Now, to the average person, what that sounds like is you have to be in denial, okay? Like you have to deny fear, deny doubt. You have to go with this illusion that you already have something, and you have to pretend it already exists, and that seems like a far stretch, okay? It seems like a far stretch. And for some people, that's very difficult because they can't imagine themselves there. Okay, so imagination is important. Now, if you're going through a stressful situation or a stressful relationship, okay, or if you're dealing with a narcissist, then you're under all of this stress. You're under emotional pain, emotional stress. So what happens? Well, how are you going to imagine? How are you going to free your mind enough to imagine, right? Because it's constant stress. Now, a narcissist will keep working on you. They will keep, because they have no empathy. Okay? But manifestation, okay, or ideal manifestation, let's say it the other way, because you're going to manifest whether you think so or not, whether you believe it or not, okay? And if you manifest things out of tension, or let's say the negative emotions, okay? So we're talking about guilt, we're talking about worry, we're talking about shame, okay? We're talking about grief, those things. So you will manifest things out of that energy, but they won't be good things, okay? And you'll start to attract more of those situations. Why is that? Because your subconscious begins to memorize what it is. If it's grief, for example, your subconscious starts to go, oh, we're grieving? Is that what it is? Now, your subconscious looks for ways to make it happen. It looks for ways to help you grieve more. Okay? It looks for evidence of grief. And it'll go, oh, okay, there's something over there. Oh, here's something over here. Here's something. You can grieve about this. You can grieve about that. Okay? So if you're worried, it's the same process. Okay, so you're worried about one thing, right? Pretty soon, when your subconscious, okay, experiences you worrying about it over and over, it becomes a program. Not just what you're worried about, but the process of worrying itself. Human beings are highly intelligent beings. And this is why people need to go to therapy sometimes when they can't make sense of it, because they don't understand what's going on. Okay, good morning, good morning. Hi, Sarah, good morning. Oh, you're not late, don't worry. Good morning. So, Dakota, yeah. Janice, I'm so proud of you, Janice. I'm so very proud of you. Awesome, awesome big steps you took. Janice is my client, and she tunes in on this platform where we have the chat, and she just took some big steps recently, and I'm really proud of her. So back to your subconscious. Not only can it, not only is it going to register what you're worried about, but the process of worrying itself. And then what happens? You start to worry about all kinds of things. Your amygdala becomes overactive. Okay, so it starts giving you all the negative what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? And all of them are negative. Why? Because you're worrying. So manifestation, well, good manifestation for good things, right, requires alignment. What does that mean? That means the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious work together. Now, if you don't believe in God, there's no superconscious. Okay, but if you believe in God, source, universe, Jesus Christ, Allah, those things, that's what we classify under the superconscious. Good morning, good morning. Hey, Kayla. Good morning, Kayla. Good morning, Globe Traveler. Hey, nice to see you again. Yeah, welcome, welcome. Oh, UK Crypto Queen, good morning. Oh, okay, well, you found me. Here I am. Welcome. So now what is alignment between the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious? Okay, so for those of you who don't believe in God, there is only the conscious and subconscious. Okay. But alignment means that the conscious mind chooses the target, the subject, the topic. Okay? So it says new job. We're focused on new job. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. So as you believe this, as you keep thinking, pretty soon you're believing that you're looking for a job. Now it's a real thing. Now it goes into your subconscious. Subconscious starts to look for avenues towards the goal, towards the topic, towards the subject. So not only is it important about the emotion of it, or how you're feeling about it, but it also matters, okay, what it is. Because your subconscious memorizes the process, the entire process. Okay, so now it's new job. Okay, your subconscious goes, okay, maybe you should check the want ads. Maybe you should go online and look at websites and whatever, Google, whatever you want to do, right? That kind of thing. But when your subconscious knows and learns in repetition that this is what you're seeking, it goes, oh, okay, we're doing that? Okay. And then it begins pursuing it automatically. Wash, rinse, repeat in your subconscious. And this is why you don't have to learn how to drive the car every day. You don't have to learn how to brush your teeth every day. Okay? Your subconscious knows all of these things. 95% of your life is on autopilot. Okay, so this is why a lot of people are just sleepwalking through life until they wake up. The majority of people, the majority of human beings do not wake up. And this is not about intelligence. This is not about, oh, he's smarter than me, so he woke up. No, this is not that at all. Some highly intelligent people, okay, because I coach executives, some highly intelligent people with multiple degrees. Okay, I had a client with 3 degrees, 3 master's degrees. And that person is what you would call inducted into the system. That person is how you would describe someone who is lost or has a disconnect. Because disconnects are not from reality, because you form your own reality. But when you get indoctrinated into a belief is a thought you keep thinking. Okay, so executives get inducted into the degree, into the position, into the corporation, into the industry. Okay, all of these things. And what does that do? That takes them away from self, and it places them here in the physical world. And they begin to trust in the physical. Why? Because the physical gives them results. And this is the thing in the Bible about mammon. Okay, God and mammon. Okay, you cannot believe in both, because you will love one and hate the other. And all that means is you will follow one and not the other. That's what it means esoterically. So when this happens, right, and your faith becomes the corporation or the job or the position or the title or, then you take yourself away from the spirit. Okay, because you're not your body, you're not your name, you're that spirit that lives in here. When you operate from this, when you start believing in this, because God lives in here. Okay, Jesus Christ said the kingdom is within. And he said that so you don't go without. So you don't go out here. There's nothing out here. There's only nature out there and things from someone else's in here. That's all that's out there. So when you're trying to bring good into your life, you have to go in here. You have to start in here. It doesn't start out there. There are no actions that you do out there that bring things to you here. Okay? But when you start in here, that's why they say, Christians say this. Okay? So they say, seek first the kingdom and all else will be added unto you. There's a reason. It's because everything out there reacts to everything in here. And you need to start in the kingdom. Okay? So in order to manifest good things, you have to have emotional coherence. Okay? Emotional intelligence. This is why it's a buzzword now. Emotional intelligence. Okay, in the old days they didn't say that. All they said was, well, if you want to manifest good things, you have to be happy. Okay, so the Indian philosopher Shanakwa said, whether, it depends on how you're feeling. So his quote was, your feelings are your God. And what he meant was, when you're feeling good, you get good stuff. When you're feeling bad, you get bad stuff. So the object is to feel good. Or let's say it another way, the object is to have a good attitude. Okay, to feel good towards other people. Okay, the Christians say it a different way. Do unto others as you want others to do unto you. Okay, if you want good to come to you, you need to be good to people, or you need to produce good actions, or you need to be good, or you need to like that. Okay. Inner peace is another thing. Okay, inner peace is so important because if you have drama, you're going to be in turmoil. Okay, but if you're peaceful, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning. Good morning, guys. But if you're peaceful, if you have inner peace, okay, it's the opposite of turmoil. What happens with turmoil? With turmoil, you have a bunch of thoughts, okay, most of which are negative. Okay, sometimes you fluctuate back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I describe it as the windshield wiper syndrome, like this. Human beings are like this. Okay, good thought, bad thought, good thought, bad thought. And we lean one way or the other. Majority good thoughts, and then bad thought, good thoughts, and then bad thought, good thoughts, like that. Okay, if it's bad thoughts and then good thought and then bad thoughts and good thoughts, there's a problem. Okay, if you pull negativity more than positivity. But here's the good news, right? So if you have a 50 percentile line, okay, and this is the line, okay, and you want to change your life, okay, it's very easy to do, okay, because all you need to do is push this over the line. So this is positive, this is negative. You push this over the line 1%, and here you are with the majority already. Now the majority of your life, okay, is positive. But that 1% has to be maintained. Otherwise, it will go back. Why? Because of your subconscious. Because your subconscious will pull you back to the prior program, to the old program, to the old paradigm. Okay, if we look at the subconscious tree, the roots of the tree are your core beliefs, which shape your paradigm, the trunk of the tree, which is how you see the world, your worldview, your outlook, your attitude. Okay, and from this attitude, you get your actions, the fruits of the tree. You will know them by their fruits, okay, by their actions. Don't look at people for face value and their words. Words don't mean anything. Watch body language, learn body language. Observation is very powerful. It saves you a lot of headaches. It saves you a lot of needless suffering. But watch what people do. Okay? What kind of guy is this? Well, he said he's a good guy. Well, he talks about good stuff. And then you see him do stuff and, hey, wait a minute, that's not good. There's a conflict. Okay? It's called incongruency. Okay? When your words and your deeds do not match, it's called incongruency. I've been teaching this for so long, 37 years. Children spot incongruency like that. You can't hide from children. You cannot hide from parents. Think that they can, they can hide things from their kids. Their kids see right through them. You are transparent to children, okay? Especially children under 7. Especially. So, guys, another thing, when you're interacting with females, okay, you have to come from authenticity. Authenticity overall is the highest vibration. Does this all relate to ruminating? Yeah, sure, in your subconscious. It depends. It depends on what it is. Ask me something a little bit more specific, Globe Traveler, and I'll give you the answer. So what happens is, okay, guys, okay, when you go on like a first date or when you are around a female, females spot incongruency like that. Okay? And just know that authenticity is the highest vibration. Okay? Authenticity. But women can spot incongruency like this when your words don't match your deeds. They're hardwired for that. It's biological. It's for mating purposes. Okay? Because it constitutes a weak male. Okay, a male who is saying one thing and doing another is not the person to mate with. It's just biology. That's all. It's evolutionary. Okay, what's another thing that you have to have in alignment for manifestation? Trust. Trust in what? Trust in yourself. Okay, people that don't trust themselves doubt. Okay, we get back to doubt and fear again. Now, all the negative emotions are rooted in fear. Thank you. Authenticity is the highest vibration. Think about what authenticity is. It's the vibration that you're born in. And what are you born in? You're born in God's energy. And what is God's energy? It's love. So anything that you add to that is not authentic, put it that way. Because authenticity is your birth energy. So openness is another thing. Okay, you need to be open. Why? Well, because the how is God's job. Okay, the how is God's job. It's not your job. It's not your job to determine how something's going to come out, because this is what hangs up the majority of people. Okay? The majority of people sit around trying to, the left brainers, okay, the logic people, the people that are educated, okay, a lot of those people, not all of them, a lot of them. Some of them have balance. But when you've been in a system, when you've focused on academics for a long, long time, you begin to trust in academics. You begin to rely on logic. You begin to rely on ego. Ego lives in the left brain, left hemisphere of the brain. Okay. In that sense, you're not open. Why? Because you're leaning. Okay, this side, this side. So you try to figure it out. Okay, this is not logical, that's not logical, that doesn't seem like it's gonna work, that doesn't seem like it's, and then a door opens and you go, whoa, I didn't expect that. I didn't figure that. I didn't account for that. And now, all of a sudden, you get your goal. Yes, you are. I'm so proud of you. Look at that. So this is my client on our chat, and she says, this is Janice. She says, yes, LOL, I can. The knowing within actually changes your thinking, lessens doubt and fear. Yeah, it does. Janice, I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. I see Janice once a week, and she's making incredible progress. Incredible. If you go on our website, our Google site, by the way, you Google Here For You Life Coaching, okay, or go to our website, and there's reviews there as well, but there's just a couple. But if you go to the Google site, you'll see that all of our reviews are 5-star. Okay, and that's because I work with human beings, and that's because this applies to every human being, not just a few, not just the academically inclined, not just the ones that consider themselves smart. Okay. When you think you know, okay, sometimes that's part of the problem. Okay, and this is why you have to be open. Okay. So when you think you know, you start going like this. Okay? Because now you have boundaries. When you're open, you're like that. Okay? Now here, you say, okay, God, go ahead. Do your thing. Guide me. And this is where the right brain processes come in. This is why Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father. Okay, they won't tell you this in Sunday school. It's talking about the right hemisphere of your brain. That's the promised land. Okay? So Moses' journey from the left hemisphere to the right hemisphere. Okay? Because the left hemisphere is the desert. Because the left hemisphere is ego. What happens when ego drives your life? Eventually, you hit the wall. All the time. Because the ego thinks it knows best. And you always hit the wall. So it's not to kill the ego. That's not the mission. The mission is not to kill the ego to get rid of the ego. It's to subdue the ego, to be able to quiet the ego down, to be able to move the ego in the back. Okay, and today we're talking about narcissism. Okay, so that's the amplification of the left side. That's the amplification of the ego, when the ego is out of control, when there's no empathy. Okay. So the right hemisphere of the brain is connection. It's imagination. Okay. It's being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. That's where intuition comes from. That's where imagination and creativity come from. The right hemisphere of the brain. That's why Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father. Okay. So I know some of you Christians might say, well, it's because he's God's right-hand man or whatever. No, that's not why. Okay. So now you contrast manifestation with narcissism. What do you get? Well, narcissism is built on insecurity. Those people that are narcissists, because let me tell you, the entertainment industry is full of them. It's a hub. Okay, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. So I worked in the entertainment industry for years, right? Because that was my dream. So I've always taught. I've been teaching for 37 years. My entertainment career was just about 15 years, maybe 20 years. But I did that because it was my dream. So fundamentally, I've always been a teacher first. And then I just lived my dreams. That's all. And ever since 2007, that's all I do. If it's not one of my dreams, not one of my goals, not anything like that, I don't do it. And you can do it too, but you need to design yourself that way. You need to design your life that way. And when I say yourself, I'm talking about your subconscious. Okay? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. And if you aim all of these 4 pillars at one thing, it has to happen. It cannot not happen because of perception. So people that are narcissists, right? I've worked with some full-blown narcissists. Like, they don't even know, or they don't realize how narcissistic they are because there's no empathy there in their lives. But they're highly insecure. Highly. Okay? They instigate things. They attack people. They do things, offensive things like that. Okay? They also have a fear of being exposed. And I'm talking about exposed in here. I'm talking about that's what the insecurity covers. Okay? Narcissists are constantly self-protecting against nothing. Okay? And it's all, for them, it's all about comparison and ego defense. It's all about defending the ego. So first you have the ego in the left hemisphere of the brain that's out of control. And then you defend it at all costs. Because anything else is a threat. Okay? So narcissists don't even go to therapy. They don't have problems. Well, according to them, they don't have problems. Okay? So what does this do for manifestation? Well, it limits it. It limits it severely. So one of the first steps is to become open. Our vocalization process opens people like that. Talking about by third session, they're like, whoa, yeah, I don't know what this is, but like I always talk about this psychiatrist, right, that I had last year. Because I coach professionals. And these are the same people that go to retreats because they have to, because they have such heavy workloads. Okay, they have a lot of heavy mental pressure. Or they're in charge of a lot of people, or they work in huge departments and their responsibilities are huge, that kind of thing. Doc, because I'm interested, right? He's a brain guy. He's a psychiatrist. He writes prescriptions for medication for people, right? So I'm like, what do you think, Doc? And he goes, I can't put my finger on it, but yeah, this is different. You can't learn that in a book in college. You don't learn those things in medical school. Why is that? Well, because you're talking about your spirit, your energy in here. And like I said, if you're coming from the kingdom within, from your God energy in here, which is love, because God is love, then you attract everything that's yours. So let's define that, what's yours, okay? Because people go, well, how can I attract money? How can I attract a new car? And can I do that? The answer is yes. The short answer is yes. You can attract things that you want. Okay, but when you hear people talk about manifestation, they go, oh, well, you don't attract necessarily what you want. You attract who you are, okay? When people say that, I'm going to break it down for you so you can understand exactly what that is. They're talking about your subconscious, because you are, okay, your core beliefs. Your core beliefs, okay, your initial paradigm from birth till 7 years old is your initial paradigm. You're not even a part of consciousness until 7. Okay, these little kids that you see, 5, 6 years old, they're just sponges. They're soaking up data, if you want to look at it that way. By the time you're 7 years old, you have your first fundamental paradigm. If you don't change anything in that paradigm, you carry it with you into adulthood. The good news is you can change any or all of it. Okay, all of it is a stretch. It's a lot of work in that sense. You can change it. Okay, people rarely change all of it. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. If you put my name in any browser, in any AI, and put teaching method after it, you'll get all of this information. And the reason why I sit here for an hour every day is so I can wake up more people. Okay, because people don't realize how influenced by the systems of things that they are. Okay, I'm talking about the medical industrial complex. I'm talking about the military industrial complex. I'm talking all of these systems. The commercial industrial complex. The mouse wheel, the merry-go-round. Okay, you go to Costco, you buy in bulk. Okay, pretty soon you get sick because you're eating in bulk. Now you go to the HMO, they treat you. Okay, and you just kind of go in the circle. Okay, now we have Ozempic. Okay, that's big pharma. There you go. Okay, and then you go through the system. But you can be in the system and not of the system. You can be independent of the systems and observe the systems. Another way to look at it is moderation is key. But some people don't know they're being led by systems. Some people are unaware only because it's subconscious. 95% of their life is subconscious. Manuel, narcissists live off drama. Yeah, they they feed off of that stuff. And it's because they put it out. Okay, what you dish out, you get back. But you get it back from your subconscious. Okay, so that's another thing. People talk about karma, like it's some strange spirit somewhere that just comes and does stuff to you. Okay, it's your subconscious. You just have to think negative of someone. You don't have to express it. You don't have to speak it. You just think it. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. And let's say that thought is something bad. Okay, now you're thinking something bad against someone. It could be I wish they fall down and get hurt or whatever it is. I'm just making stuff up, okay? Just for an example. But let's say you're thinking that thought. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. Pretty soon in your subconscious, what does your subconscious believe? It just memorizes fall down, get hurt. Because your subconscious can't distinguish if you're thinking about someone else or if you're thinking about yourself. When you speak ill against someone, when you swear at someone, your subconscious doesn't know if you're swearing to someone else or yourself. Right now, my subconscious doesn't know if I'm speaking to myself or you, or the cameras. I have a camera here, I have a camera over there, I have a camera over here. Okay, we're on 7 platforms every morning, but my subconscious doesn't know that. It just knows that I sit here for an hour a day and teach. That's all it knows. Is your subconscious your higher self? Your superconscious is your higher self. So there's conscious, subconscious, superconscious. If you believe in source, universe, higher self, then that's superconscious. You did fall down yesterday while trail running. Okay, that's probably a mistake. If you start falling down all the time, it's subconscious. So your subconscious puts that idea to work as a belief. And it starts looking for pathways on how to make it happen. And this is why when you see people that are striking out against others, right, their self-image goes down. They start not believing in themselves. They have low self-esteem. They can't feel good about themselves. Why? Well, because they're speaking out against others. Because they're thinking negatively against others. So it goes into your subconscious. And the subconscious goes, okay, well, let's find avenues towards these negative things. And it starts showing it to you. Well, what happens then? Do you feel good or do you feel bad? You feel bad. Then what? Wash, rinse, repeat. When you see a situation, humans already have negativity bias. It's evolutionary. But when your subconscious is helping, so is your reticular activating system in your brainstem. What does that do? It's a filter. It filters out what you're not focused on. So when the subconscious is focused on something negative, your RAS, or your reticular activating system, goes, oh, okay, negative? All right, got it. And now it looks for those things. Okay, so if you've ever heard of the phenomena like the red convertible phenomenon, right? You're looking at red convertibles, you're interested in a red convertible, and pretty soon you just see a lot of red convertibles. You go, wow, I never knew there was so much in this town. The amount was always the same. It's your reticular activating system in your brainstem going, hey, look, over there, there's one. Hey, there's one over there. Oh, there's one more over there. Look, there's one parked over there. Hey, there's one in that garage over there. And now you start noticing all of them. But this helps in manifestation, in the positive. Okay? This is God going, you want this one? You want that one? You want this one? You want that one? Let's say you're looking for a relationship. God goes, you want this girl? You want that girl? You want this girl? You want that girl? Or guy, doesn't matter. When you understand the power within, when you understand this power in here, your conscious, subconscious, superconscious working in alignment together, then you start to go, oh, all I need to do is choose a topic, and then affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Yeah. Can you choose only one topic? Well, when you get started, it's a good idea to just focus on one thing first. And the most common thing people come to me for is money, right? Okay, money is easy. Money is not difficult. But if you're just focused on money, guess what? What if you make a lot of money? Because I know these people. I know rich people, very, very wealthy people that are very sickly. And I know very, very wealthy people that are very healthy. Okay? It depends on what they think in here. Okay? But when the focus is just money, what happens? Well, yeah, you can get a lot of money. What if your health goes downhill? Where's the money going? Well, eventually, the money has to go to the HMO or to the doctor or to the treatment or to the pharmacy or to the healthcare. But when there's balance, what happens? Well, now you have balance. So when you make a vision board, for example, so affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, okay? The visualization. So for my clients, I make vision boards for my clients. And when I do this, right, I always suggest that, okay, health should be part of this. Whatever it is in your life, but health should be part of it. Money is just part of wealth. It's just a component of wealth. It's not wealth itself. Hi, Lulu. Good morning, Lulu. Join us. Yeah, join us. Welcome. Aloha from Hawaii. You've done your vision board? Oh, great, perfect. Make sure your picture of yourself is in the middle, okay? And everything surrounds you. That's important for your subconscious. Yeah, there you go. I have a chat on this side, so just excuse me. I tend to check on these guys all the time. Okay. So today we're talking about narcissism and manifestation. So if you're around a narcissist, you're going to find that your manifestation starts to go down. Okay, because yesterday we were talking about how when you're the victim of a narcissist, or let's say you're being affected by a narcissist, you start to become cold. You start to become resentful. You start to shield yourself by closing yourself off. It's a defense mechanism. It's for a bully, for a narcissist, whatever. It happens. Okay, Harvey. Hey, sir, please pass. You felt off, felt like drowning into something. I don't know. Okay. Message me, Harvey. I'll help you. Just shoot me a message and tell me what's wrong in the message, and I'll answer you. It might take me till the end of the weekend. I have a full schedule on the weekends. I have clients all weekends, but yeah, I'll help you. So a narcissist thinks that they deserve everything, right? They think, okay, but there's tension underneath. There's that insecurity underneath, okay? And this is why narcissists, eventually everything dries up for them, okay? I've had several, in fact, on my live, on my platform on this side, on the chat, I have several clients, and a couple of them have been married to narcissists. But the thing about that is, eventually they go away. Eventually, everything dries up for the narcissist. Why? Because, the average person will go, well, the narcissist thinks that he's all that, right? So, then he would get more, right? Wrong. Because you have to look at the roots. And this is why everything is governed by your feelings and emotions, like I was telling you about the Indian philosopher, Shanakwa, who said your feelings are your God. That's what he was talking about. A narcissist inside, at the core, is highly insecure. There's a lot of tension involved. There's a lot of stress involved that they bring upon themselves. But like I said, in the subconscious, it's a feedback loop. It's feeding back insecurity. It's feeding back these things. So it goes in a circle, in other words. Okay, feedback loop like this. Okay. And what goes out comes back in your subconscious. Your subconscious memorizes all of these things. They have more than one supply. Yep. Thank you, Manuel. That's my friend Manuel in Belgium. We have an international account with our chat going. So another thing that I mentioned last week, we were talking about high performance anxiety in executives. Okay, because I had an executive that had high performance anxiety, but I was seeing him for something else. Okay, and because I was seeing him for something else, I didn't address it. I just observed it. I go, wow, this guy is so busy. But this is subconscious. High anxiety. So if those of you who have high performance jobs, just know that high performance anxiety looks, feels, okay, it feels to the person like motivation. It's not. You're being motivated out of fear. You're operating out of fear. Okay? When you operate out of fear, things start to close up. You can achieve things, okay? But I'm talking at the emotional level. I'm talking at the subconscious level. Because you have a pattern of whatever it is that you do, and you do whatever you do well. But outside of that, your emotions depend on what you bring into your life. So this is why you see high achievers, right? Operating out of fear. They have the house, they have the car, they have the swimming pool, they have the vacations, they have the perks, they have the power, they have the influence, they have. And their lives are wrecked. Their children are on drugs. Their wife is at the country club with somebody else. Why? Because they're not paying attention to her. Why? Because they're on this high performance anxiety streak. Achieve, 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 go, 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 right? It's all about balance. You need balance. If you're not balancing, then something's wrong. And this works for everybody, myself included, okay? And we're human beings, okay? So from this 50 percentile, okay, positive, negative, it goes like this, and then it goes like that, and then it goes back like this at different times. And this is why the universal law of rhythm is important, because you need to observe your rhythm. You need to memorize your rhythm. You need to be aware of your rhythm. If you're so inundated with the physical world, okay, if you're so inundated with processes, okay, with the calendar, with the clock, you know, oh, I got to go here by this time. I got to do this, got to do that, got to do this. If you're so distracted into the physical world, it's very difficult to observe it from the outside in. But this is where the vocalization part happens. Okay, both of my companies, the life coaching company and the voice school, we have only 5-star reviews. Why is that? Well, all of my clients are human beings, and they all make improvement like that, and they all loosen up, and they all get set free. The prison is here. Okay, the prison is here. And the more conditioned you become to the societal hypnosis, okay, the systems of things, that's what Jesus Christ was talking about. He said, I will be with you until the end of these systems of things. Okay, they changed the translation a little bit, like they change everything else. And the translation now says, I will be with you until the end of the world. The world is not going anywhere. It's not that kind of the end of the world. It's the end of these systems of things. Is the system going to end? No, absolutely not. There's always going to be big pharma. There's always going to be, big medical, the medical industrial complex. There's always going to be the military industrial complex. All of these systems. There's always going to be commerce. There's always going to be, all of these things. It's not about the systems. It's about you and your perception and your understanding and what you stand under. So what do you choose? It's not about the system per se. It's about in here. It's about the kingdom within. It's about your power in here to change, to adapt, to thrive. Okay, people in the depression thrived. The ones that had the right mindset, they thrived. This is why Jesus said, seek the kingdom first and all will be added unto you. Gautama Buddha said it. He said the same thing in a different way. Krishna said the same thing in a different way. Yeah, you're welcome, Harvey. No worries. Just write to me, and yeah, I'll give you an answer. Don't worry. So, as for the narcissist in manifestation and what the inhibition is, right? On the outside, they're saying, I deserve everything. I'm the man or woman, right? There's a lot of female narcissists. I've met a lot of them. But on the outside, right? That's what they're demonstrating. I deserve everything. It's all about me, right? It's all whatever, all of those things. But inside, their nervous system is in threat mode. That's non receiving mode, okay? If your nervous system, so manifestation works off of your nervous system and your subconscious and your reticular activating system. They all work together in concert. And when these things are in alignment, either positive or negative, doesn't matter. So if the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, your RAS and your nervous system are in alignment in the negative, then that's your life. That's what your life will be replaying over and over and over. Wash, rinse, repeat in the subconscious. You cannot attract good things from tension. You're going to attract things that give you more tension. And, people wonder why, like, how come why is my life like this? It's always drama. It's always drama. But they get up and they fight the dragon every day. They get up, fight the dragon. Get up, fight the dragon. Next day, fight the dragon. Next day, so they have this break called sleep, right? And when they wake up again, they're back in the fight, back in the fight, back in the fight. I work with tons of military people that have PTSD, okay? And that war keeps going on every day. But what the vocalization exercise does is it quiets the war down. It makes the war manageable. And they start pushing it in the back. They start pushing it in the back. They're like, no, don't bother me right now. I'm focused on this. I've had military people that can't walk into a shopping center because there's too many people. Okay, they get triggered. They get alarmed. After a couple of months of vocalization exercises, right? We do an hour. We do an hour once a week. And when we do that, pretty soon they walk in the mall. When I see them, they go, hey, I got good news this week. What? I went to the mall. Right? For the everyday guy, we go, well, okay, whatever. But for someone who's been to war, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. Because they need to make it through the mall without perceiving threats. When they feel threatened, when they get panic attacks, okay, their vocalization exercise minimizes all of that. I've had tons of military people. I don't think I have any right now, but I have tons of them. They always come. They always cycle through. So if you really want to, look up what this is, it's somatic healing to the voice. But I haven't really seen anyone that does it like we do. Ours is pretty strong, and it happens pretty quick. Other people do somatic healing with frequency music. So they have people listen to frequency music. And when people listen to frequency music, they feel better. Okay. And solfeggio frequencies are important. You can look that up. Solfeggio frequencies. That's important. That will relax you. So the narcissist versus manifestation, right? How does narcissism affect manifestation? The narcissistic personality is pretty grandiose. It's like, I am superior. Okay. But the subconscious holds a different program because of the way they feel in their nervous system. Okay. The subconscious holds, I am not enough unless I prove it. Okay. And now you're talking about ego. Okay. The ego always thinks it's right. It always seeks to prove itself. Okay. It wants to demonstrate superiority. Or let's say it another way. The ego always wants to demonstrate it's right. Okay, see, I told you so. See, I told you so. See, I'm right. See, I'm right. Always has to be right. So, what is on the surface is not always what's underneath. And this goes for a lot of people, not just narcissism. Okay, but I'm just saying, like I know a lot of religious people, right? Fellow Christians that go to church every Sunday, faithful, always in church. They know all of the verses. Okay, they memorize all of the verses. They can tell you everything in the Bible, but they have no belief in themselves. Yet they've been told in Scripture that God is in here. God lives in here, not out there, not up there. And there's some, I met this lady last year. She's a Christian. She told me, "Oh no, Jesus is coming through to the clouds on Pegasus to save us." But when you really pay attention to the scriptures, it says Jesus was here to teach you how to save yourself in here. I can whip a nay. Yeah, I turn on the music. I'll whip one for you. Okay. Yeah, that helps. That helps. That helps, Janice. So Dakota, right there, Janice. That helps. Pay attention to Janice. She's speaking wisdom right there. So guilt, shame, okay, all carries a frequency. Guilt, shame, fear, all the negative emotions, worry. When you start worrying, that's the beginning. Okay, then your amygdala takes over. It starts giving you more worry. Then your subconscious memorizes worry. Then it starts to wash, rinse, repeat. Okay, then your reticular activating system in your brainstem starts to filter out things that are not worrisome. And then you have all these thoughts. And then you go in circles and you think something's wrong. Okay, so just understand that you're like a ship. Okay, if there's no rudder, the ship goes like this. The ship just goes like this. It goes anywhere and everywhere like that. And that's your mind, a ship without a rudder. If you're like that with all these thoughts, all this negativity. But when you put the rudder on, you go, okay, now I'm going here. Now I'm focused, I'm going there. Manifestation is applied focus, but it's not just applied focus in the thought process. It's also applied focus in the feeling process, in your nervous system. This is why the vocalization. Okay, so it's affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Affirmations. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm confident. Thank you. Write it once in the morning when your brain is in theta state, fully relaxed. Speak it out loud right before you turn off the light at night to sleep. Okay, read it out loud. You can speak things into existence. That's why it's in Genesis, in the Bible. Okay, God spoke the world into existence. It's there to tell you something. Okay, so you can speak it. So you speak it and then you go to sleep. All night long, your brain ruminates. Your subconscious ruminates on that. All night long till you wake up. The last thing you hear is the first thing you remember. Okay, when you write it, it goes into your subconscious. When you type it in your phone like that, it does nothing. Okay, you're just reading it. It takes longer to register. It does register, but it registers really well when you write it out. Okay, the memorization process. Write it once, speak it 3 times. Okay, write it out. Whatever you want to memorize. A speech, write it out by hand. Write the whole speech out by hand. And then read it 3 times all the way through out loud. Memorization. There you go. Okay, so this is a little bit about narcissism and manifestation and why it's not conducive to each other. Okay, why a narcissist, eventually everything dries up. Okay, they lose their wife, they lose their friends, they lose their jobs, they lose. But on the outside, the sign says, I'm a winner. Okay. On the inside, the insecurity happens and begins to push things away. Okay, so anyway, tomorrow we'll talk about something else. So Jay's over here. Yep, and I have to get to clients. It's Saturday, so I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Hawaii time. So until then, we want to say